Have you ever watched a relationship crumble before your eyes, wondering what went wrong? Picture this. Two people, once inseparable, now caught in a whirlpool of emotions. It's messy, chaotic, just like life. But what if I told you that there are certain behaviors wise people never engage in, strategies that can turn the tide of any relationship? Imagine mastering the art of emotional resilience, navigating challenges with grace, and transforming conflicts into opportunities for growth. Have you ever watched a relationship crumble before your eyes, wondering what went wrong? Picture this. Two people, once inseparable, now caught in a whirlpool of emotions. It's messy, chaotic, just like life. But what if I told you that there are certain behaviors wise people never engage in, strategies that can turn the tide of any relationship? Imagine mastering the art of emotional resilience, navigating challenges with grace, and transforming conflicts into opportunities for growth. Think about it. How often do we react impulsively, letting our feelings dictate our actions? What if you could pause, breathe, and choose a response that strengthens your bond? The truth is, every wise person has a toolkit of principles they adhere to, guiding their interactions and decisions. There's a profound strength in restraint, a deeper wisdom in understanding rather than reacting. As we delve into this journey, keep your mind open. You might find yourself reflecting on your own habits, questioning long-held beliefs. So let's turn the page and explore these 9 fundamental principles that can reshape your relationships and elevate your emotional intelligence. Are you ready to unlock a new perspective on love and connection? Let's dive in. Error 1. Losing emotional control. You know, there are moments in life when emotions run high, and I must admit, I've had my fair share of those. It's so easy to let anger or frustration dictate our actions, isn't it? But I've learned that losing emotional control rarely leads to anything good. When I feel those waves of emotion crashing over me, I try to take a step back and breathe. It's like a mental reset button. Instead of reacting impulsively, I remind myself to pause and consider the situation with a clear mind. I've seen people around me get swept away by their emotions, often resulting in decisions they later regret. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. I realized that wise individuals don't let emotions steer the ship. They maintain a steady course, even in turbulent waters. When faced with challenges, I found that approaching the situation calmly allows me to think rationally and find solutions that are more effective in the long run. Another thing I've noticed is that maintaining emotional control fosters better relationships. When I keep my emotions in check, I communicate more effectively. My loved ones appreciate the calm, and it invites them to respond in kind. It's a ripple effect. Calm begets calm. I've come to understand that emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings, but rather about managing them in a way that promotes understanding and connection. Of course, it takes practice. Some days I falter and let my emotions take the wheel, but every setback is a lesson. I'm learning that it's okay to feel deeply. It's just essential to process those feelings constructively. Each experience teaches me to be more resilient, and in turn, I find strength in maintaining my composure, even when the world around me seems chaotic. Ultimately, losing emotional control can lead to misunderstandings and hurt feelings. I've seen friendships and relationships falter because of impulsive reactions driven by unchecked emotions. It's a reminder that wisdom often lies in the ability to pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Error 2. Ignoring one's own needs. I used to think that putting others first was a sign of strength. Sacrificing my own needs for the sake of others seemed noble, but I've come to realize it can be quite the opposite. It's like flying on an airplane. They always tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. If I'm not taking care of myself, how can I genuinely support those I love? Acknowledging my own needs has been a game changer. I started recognizing when I felt drained or overwhelmed, and instead of pushing those feelings aside, I began to address them. Whether it's taking time to read a book, going for a walk, or simply enjoying a quiet moment, these self-care practices recharge my spirit. When I take care of myself, I'm more present and engaged with others, which in turn strengthens my relationships. It's also been enlightening to see how others respond when I prioritize my own needs. Initially, I feared that people might see me as selfish, but the opposite happened. I found that those around me respected my boundaries and often started to prioritize their own needs as well. It created a healthier dynamic where everyone felt valued, including me. Moreover, I've learned that ignoring my needs can lead to resentment. When I constantly put others first, I often end up feeling unappreciated or taken for granted. By asserting my needs, I communicate my worth and teach others how to treat me. It's a delicate balance, but one that fosters mutual respect and understanding in relationships. In the end, recognizing and honoring my own needs isn't just beneficial for me. It's essential for maintaining healthy and fulfilling connections with others. I've learned that self-care isn't selfish. It's a vital part of being a wise and emotionally intelligent person. Error 3. Focusing on the past. The past. Such a tempting place to dwell. I've spent countless hours ruminating over mistakes I made or relationships that went awry. But I've come to realize that wise individuals don't allow themselves to be trapped by the past. Instead, they learn from their experiences and use those lessons to inform their present and future. One thing I've practiced is mindfulness. When I catch myself spiraling into thoughts of regret or anger about past events, I gently bring myself back to the present moment. It's not always easy, but it's incredibly freeing to understand that my past doesn't define me. Those experiences shaped who I am, but they don't dictate my worth or my path forward. Learning from the past is crucial, but it's equally important not to let it overshadow the present. I've found that when I focus too much on what has happened, I often miss out on what's happening right now, the joy, the opportunities, and the connections that are available to me. Each day is a chance for a fresh start, and I try to embrace that. Moreover, I've noticed that dwelling on past grievances can poison my relationships. Holding on to grudges doesn't just affect me, it can create tension and distance with those I care about. By choosing to let go of past hurts, I open the door to healing and improved communication. It's liberating to forgive, not just others but myself as well. Ultimately, I've learned that the past is a teacher, not a jailer. By reflecting on my experiences without letting them control me, I can grow and evolve. It's about embracing the lessons while also cherishing the present and looking forward to the future. Error 4. Reacting impulsively. Impulsiveness has been my Achilles heel at times. There's something exhilarating about making a snap decision, but more often than not, those choices come back to bite me. I've learned that wise individuals take a moment to reflect before they act. This simple pause can make all the difference, allowing for a more thoughtful response rather than a hasty reaction. I remember a time when I reacted impulsively in a heated discussion with a friend. Instead of listening, I fired off my opinions without considering their feelings. The fallout was immediate and painful. It took time to mend that rift, and it taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of thinking before speaking. Nowadays, I consciously remind myself to breathe and consider the potential consequences of my actions. This practice of pausing before reacting has not only improved my decision-making, but also my relationships. I've found that when I take the time to think things through, I am more empathetic and understanding. It fosters a more respectful dialogue and allows for a deeper connection with others. People appreciate it when they know I'm truly listening and considering their perspectives. Of course, this isn't to say I don't slip up. There are moments when the urge to react impulsively resurfaces. But I've learned to recognize those triggers and take a step back. It's all about progress, not perfection. Each time I manage to rein in that impulsive urge, I feel a sense of accomplishment and growth. In the end, avoiding impulsive reactions is about cultivating mindfulness. It's a practice that requires patience and dedication, but the rewards are immeasurable. I've come to appreciate the wisdom in taking a moment to reflect. It's a small pause that can lead to much greater understanding and connection. Error 5. Avoiding difficult conversations. There's something about difficult conversations that can make even the most composed person break into a cold sweat. I've been there myself, dodging those heavy topics because it felt easier than facing the music. But wisdom teaches us that avoiding these discussions only leads to bigger problems down the road. Instead of shying away, wise individuals lean into those tough talks, addressing issues with honesty and respect. It's not about being confrontational or aggressive. Rather, It's about creating a space where both parties feel safe to express their feelings and thoughts. I've learned that when we tackle these difficult subjects head-on, we're not just clearing the air, we're building a deeper connection. Yes, it can be uncomfortable, but it's that very discomfort that often leads to growth and understanding. When I finally decided to confront some of my own fears around these conversations, I found that most of the time, the outcome was far less daunting than I had imagined. I remember one instance where I talked about my feelings on a sensitive issue with my partner. It was awkward at first, but we ended up having a breakthrough moment that strengthened our relationship. Ignoring these conversations, on the other hand, can lead to resentment and misunderstandings. It's like letting a small crack in a wall grow into a gaping hole. Wise people understand that a little honesty can go a long way in fostering trust. Each difficult conversation becomes a building block for a stronger relationship, allowing both individuals to feel heard and valued. So the next time you find yourself wanting to avoid a serious talk, remember, facing those conversations can be incredibly liberating. It's a chance to grow together and understand one another in a way that just wouldn't be possible if you kept dodging the issue. Error 6. Setting unrealistic expectations. Let's talk about expectations for a moment. We all want our partners to be the best version of themselves, but sometimes we set the bar so high that it becomes impossible to reach. I used to think that if my partner loved me enough, they would just know what I needed without me saying a word. Spoiler alert, that's not how life works. Wise individuals recognize that everyone has their flaws and imperfections. It took me some time to understand that expecting someone to be perfect is not just unrealistic, it's a recipe for disappointment. When we set these unattainable standards, we're not just setting ourselves up for failure, we're also putting unnecessary pressure on our partners. One day, a friend of mine confided in me about how she felt let down because her boyfriend didn't meet her expectations during a rough patch. I suggested that she communicate her needs instead of harboring resentment. It was a light bulb moment for both of us. We realized that we could appreciate our partners for who they are rather than who we want them to be. Setting realistic expectations doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being fair and compassionate. It's important to acknowledge that both you and your partner are human and will make mistakes. When we approach relationships with this mindset, we open the door to a healthier and more fulfilling connection. So, let's strive for understanding rather than perfection. When we accept our partner's imperfections, we not only create a more supportive environment, but we also allow ourselves to be more vulnerable. And isn't that what a strong relationship is all about? Error 7. Neglecting communication. Communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. It's funny how easy it is to take it for granted, isn't it? I found myself in situations where I assumed my partner knew what I was thinking, only to realize later that I had left them completely in the dark. Wise individuals understand that clear and open communication is vital to avoid misunderstandings. I've learned that sharing my thoughts and feelings openly keeps the connection strong. It's not always easy, but the effort is worth it. When both partners communicate effectively, it fosters a deeper emotional connection. I recall a time when I was feeling overwhelmed but failed to express it. My partner noticed something was off but didn't know how to help. If I had communicated my feelings, we could have navigated it together. Neglecting communication can lead to a snowball effect of misunderstandings. A simple miscommunication can spiral into larger issues if not addressed. Wise people recognize the importance of checking in, whether it's about daily stressors or deeper emotional concerns. Having those conversations can prevent a lot of heartache down the line. I've also seen how communication can act as a bridge during tough times. When conflicts arise, discussing them openly often leads to resolutions that are mutually satisfying. It's a chance to learn about each other and grow together. Embracing this practice has made my relationships richer and more fulfilling. So, let's make a conscious effort to prioritize It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's the little moments of connection that make all the difference. When we open our hearts and minds, we create a space where love and understanding can truly flourish. Error 8. Allowing pride to interfere. You know, one of the biggest traps I've encountered in relationships is letting pride get in the way. I've been there, holding on to my ego, thinking it was somehow more important than resolving the issue at hand. It's funny, isn't it? How we sometimes let our need to be right overshadow our desire to be happy. I've learned that stepping back and putting my pride aside is one of the wisest things I can do when conflicts arise. It's not about losing. It's about finding a way to connect again. There have been moments when I've clung to my position, convinced that admitting any fault would mean I was weak. But the truth is, it takes a strong person to acknowledge their mistakes. When I finally let go of my pride, I found that solutions emerged much more easily. It's like a weight lifted off my shoulders. I could see the situation more clearly, and I realized that prioritizing harmony over being right was a much better choice for my relationships. When I think about the people I admire, they're often the ones who can apologize sincerely or admit when they don't have all the answers. They create an environment where both parties feel valued. I've found that when I put my pride aside, it opens the door for honest communication. It encourages the other person to do the same, fostering a deeper understanding and connection. It's incredible how much better things can feel when both individuals are focused on resolving the issue instead of defending their egos. The realization that relationships are not a battlefield has been enlightening for me. Winning a fight doesn't mean winning in love, so I've made a conscious effort to remind myself that it's okay to be vulnerable. Sharing my feelings, my fears, and even my failures has allowed me to build a stronger bond with others. It's a journey, but I've come to appreciate that the vulnerability I show when I let go of my pride ultimately strengthens my relationships. In the end, I've learned that letting go of pride isn't just about conflict resolution. It's about creating a safe space for growth and understanding. It's about recognizing that we're all human and we all mess up. When I focus on harmony and connection rather than my own ego, I find that my relationships flourish in ways I never thought possible. Error 9. Disregarding personal growth. Another vital lesson I've picked up along the way is the importance of personal growth, not just for myself, but also for those I care about. It's so easy to get comfortable in a relationship and forget that both partners need to evolve. I've often found myself caught up in the day-to-day grind, neglecting my own development. It took time, but I eventually realized that if I'm not growing, I can't expect my partner to grow either. Encouraging personal growth has become a priority for me in my relationships. I've learned to appreciate the unique journeys we each undertake. It's not just about my progress, it's about sharing that journey. I've started to celebrate the achievements of my partner and encourage them to chase their dreams too. It creates a supportive environment where we can both thrive. When I see them pursuing their goals, it inspires me to do the same. One thing I've noticed is that when both partners are committed to personal growth, the relationship itself flourishes. We become more understanding and more empathetic. For instance, if my partner is working on a project or learning something new, I find myself wanting to be involved and offer support. It strengthens our bond, and it's rewarding to see each other succeed. I've come to understand that our individual growth contributes to the health of our relationship. I've also learned that growth can be uncomfortable. Sometimes it means having difficult conversations or confronting issues that we've swept under the rug. But I've found that facing these challenges together can lead to deeper intimacy. When we work through our struggles, we emerge stronger and more connected. It's become clear to me that personal growth isn't just about self-improvement. It's about enhancing the relationship as a whole. Ultimately, I've embraced the idea that personal growth is a lifelong journey. We evolve, and that's what keeps our relationship dynamic and exciting. I've learned to actively seek out opportunities for growth, not just for myself, but alongside my partner. Together, we're building a life that's not only fulfilling, but also rich with shared experiences and mutual support. So, as we wrap up today's exploration of the 9 things wise people never do in relationships, let's take a moment to reflect. Remember, each of these insights isn't just a guideline, they're tools for building stronger, more resilient connections. Have you found yourself slipping into any of these traps? It's completely normal. The key is awareness and growth. Imagine approaching your relationships with the clarity and strength of a Stoic. How would your interactions change? Would you find more peace amid chaos? As you move forward, I encourage you to keep these principles close to your heart. They're not merely rules. They're a way of life that can transform your connections. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 9 insights resonated with you the most? Do you have your own experiences to share? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found value in today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Together, let's continue on this journey of self-improvement and deeper understanding. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep growing, and remember, the power to change your relationships lies within you.